Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Fun with Whole Foods. We're returning today back to a savoury recipe which is perfect for breakfast and to take with you for a packed lunch, snack, any kind of day that you want something tasty to eat. And this week we are doing cheesy courgette muffins. Now, for those of you that aren't in the UK, you might call it a zucchini or you might call it a baby marrow. But I shall be referring to this vegetable as a courgette throughout this video because that is how I know it. So, as with all of my recipes, we're high protein and low carb. We're going to start off with our bowl and our dry ingredients. Going to use half a cup of pea protein, which is unflavoured, always, completely natural and very nice and healthy, wonderful whole foods. And then we're going to take a quarter of a cup of chickpea flour. I find this in the world food aisle. You might find it called gram flour. It might be made of peas as well as chickpeas. It's not always just chickpeas, but mostly it's chickpeas, which is wonderful, healthy again. It's a great low carb, high protein and gluten-free alternative. Then going to have a quarter of a cup of milled organic flaxseed. I tried making these without flaxseed because I was like, oh, I'm just adding them for extra fibre. But trust me, you need the flaxseed in them. I'm not quite sure what it is, where they get a bit jelly-like in water, if that helps give some stretch to the dough. But they're too dense without flaxseed. And then I told you it was cheesy. You're doing a full quarter cup of parmesan. Don't be afraid, that's not as much as it sounds like. But because it's parmesan, it's really strong, it's going to make them incredibly cheesy and delicious. So, yeah, I'm a huge fan of parmesan if you want to get cheesy flavour without the calories. And then we add our smaller ingredients. So we're using baking powder because we want it to puff to give a nice lift to the muffin. So this is a half teaspoon measure. I'm going to put in a full teaspoon, so 2 spoons of baking powder. And then spices are optional. I find that paprika and mustard help to bring out the cheesy flavour and things, so I tend to add them to cheese sauces and the like. So I'm just going to put in half a teaspoon of smoked paprika and half a teaspoon of mustard powder, which I don't think it really comes through flavour wise, but it just helps emphasise the cheesiness. So put all our dry ingredients in a bowl. Going to give them a good stir to get them all blended together nicely. Which is wonderful, beautiful. So next we're going to take our courgette. You want it to weigh roughly 200 grams. It might be a bit under, might be a bit over. The recipe is fairly flexible if it's a little bit under or over, to be honest. And you're going to grate it, coarsely grate it. I did a lot of experimentation on coarsely grated versus finely grated, and you get a better texture if you coarsely grate it, you really do. So just shove it through the grater. I know someone did some hack about you hold the grater that way, but it doesn't work when it's pyramid shape. That only works if it's a nice square. So we've got our beautiful coarsely grated courgette here, nice and green. And we're just going to dump that in to our dry ingredients. And then we're going to give it a good stir around and toss in the flour. This is just to make sure we're separating up all of the bits of courgette so they don't all clump together and end up all in one muffin. So it's a bit like when you make fruit cake and you dust the fruit in flour before you add it, except I'm doing it as I've added it. Oh, I'm making sense to me. It's because I'm starting with dry ingredients. You don't when you do fruit cake. Alright, so now we're going to add our wet ingredients to the mixture, and we're going to put in 2 eggs. You could beat this separately, but frankly, why create the extra washing up? It really doesn't matter. I've never found it matters, to be honest, except when you're whisking egg whites. That one does matter if a recipe requires you to do that. And my favourite almond milk. You're going to just put in 1/8 of a cup. Yes, there we go. And then let's just stab the egg yolks and mixy. Mix it all together and make sure we're getting all the dry ingredients in. So, as you can see, this is coming out quite dry. So today I'm going to add another 1/8 of a cup of almond milk. It's alright. I think it depends a bit on how big your courgette is and how wet your courgette is. But if you find your mix on anything looks a bit dry, just add a little bit more milk. What's the worst that could happen? Actually, the worst that can happen is it ends up creating a very dense thing. So, right, you've got your mixture. And now, here's a baking tray I prepared earlier. I like these House of Cake baking cups. They're nice and large and strong, so you don't need a muffin pan to keep them in. They'll just sit on top of any baking tray. And this mixture makes 6 muffins. So just dump it in, squish it down. Oh, I love these muffins. I love cheesy things. I'm working on a vegan version, but I don't think it's going to be ready by Friday. So maybe next week or the week after, as soon as I've figured that one out. Yeah. If you can't wait that long and you're vegan, then use egg substitute for the 2 eggs and use vegan substitute parmesan. I'm sure there's some out there. In fact, I know there is. I was looking and I decided it wasn't worth it because I really want to make a very natural version that's all nutrient dense. So that's the other thing. These are very nutrient dense cupcakes. They're low in sugar, they're low in carbs. I don't know why I just called them cupcakes. They're savoury muffins. And they're very high in fibre. They're very filling as well. I tend to eat 2, but that'll be as a whole meal for me. So squish them down and then pop them in the oven. About gas mark 5, maybe gas mark 6 for 20 minutes. And then they will puff up a lot in the oven. Actually, I didn't show you, did I? Don't ever put your hand in an oven at home. That's what they look like before cooking. Okay? So you put them in for 20 minutes and then they'll puff up in the oven. And when I got this out of the oven yesterday, it was up to the top. So don't fill these cases more than about half full. But they will end up looking like that. Absolutely stunning, beautiful, golden. The smell as they cook is amazing. And then, let me just, this one's stuck a bit to the paper. I'll just tear it in half and you can see nice fluffy crumb with beautiful bits of courgette in. So absolutely delicious. I will do lots more courgette recipes in the summer when they become in season. I might even grow some of my own this year. So courgette, zucchini, mini marrow, whatever you call them, try grating them up and having some cheesy courgette muffins this week. I'll see you next week with another recipe and another episode of Fun with Whole